Hey guys, Micah here from Micahdoodles. I'm going to start drawing a 1990 Mazda with fender flares, track car. I'll show you a picture of what it's going to look like. Here's the car right here. I'm going to finish it up. Basically got my rough sketch done in. Now I'm going to kind of Micahdoodle style it out, but I'll be using this as a reference as I'm going through. So again, what I like to do when I start out with my cars, I want to hit all my black areas first. So I'm going to go ahead and find my black pens and start inking everything in. Pretty simple here. This one should probably take me about an hour and a half to get done. But I've never done a stance car before, so kind of curious on how it's going to turn out. But I'm always up for challenges. I like doing these cars. That's cool. Okay, so basically I'm just kind of roughing in the darker spots on this car. Then I'll go back and I will lighten everything up, adding some color and things like that. Kind of hitting some highlight spots here. Drawing my horizon line. This guy's going to be coming over the top of a hill, so I kind of want to give it a little aggressive look as well. I'm just going to finish up my black in here. And that basically should about do it. There we go. Okay, roughly that's in there. I'm using my wife's cell phone so I can record on here and you can kind of see what's going on, what's taking place. Now this car, normally I hit an eraser on here to kind of drop down my pencil lines, because when you're doing lighter ink colors, has a tendency to bleed through your pencil line, and then you can't erase it underneath it. So I'm going to actually grab a couple colors that I'm going to use for my chrome. 114, 116, 102. These are just grays that I'm going to use, set them aside, and I'm going to basically start nailing down this car inside here. Kind of basically pulling out the adding that. Now these look really dark as they go on, but trust me, they're actually going to be a lot lighter when I'm all finished. Now this is basically how I did a tutorial earlier on how to do chrome, and so if you guys want to go back and take a look at that, you can see that as well. But for this part, I'm basically just going to be kind of inking in roughly where some highlights and details are going to go on this car. And with chrome, there are white spots. There's dark spots in here as well, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'll let my white pen go back and touch base on all those spots. But for right now, at least you guys can kind of get an idea what's going on with this car with the chrome. Real simple. 109. Sometimes what I like to be really loose with my pens, especially when I'm inking chrome or stuff like that, because I can always go back and add my details to that later. Lights as well, just kind of hitting in certain key elements of this car that I'm going to go back and touch base later, but really just kind of getting a feel of where everything's going. There we go. So this car is pretty cool. I don't know what he's got going on there. Looks like there's a... Yeah. Add another piece to this car that I didn't see before real quick. It looks like it has a hole in there or something. Can't quite figure that out. Just want to make sure that that looks centered on top of that line right there. I'll go back and touch that in later. But for right now, to know that I don't want to miss it, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with my gray here to know that that's a duct right there. Okay, so now this car's got a lot of, let me hit my black lines back there. 114, okay. So I'm going to use a 114 to get the roll cage in here. I'm also going to use 169 to hit the highlights of the window. I can make sure and get that in. So I'm going to basically hit that in right now, so I know where this thing is going to be touching here. And I can go back and fine tune and detail this thing in later, but at least I need to know so I have my roll bar. I don't obstruct the view of that. And I'm gonna have fun with this thing because this thing's got tons of shadows and highlights on it. So again, I'm gonna start kind of tweaking stuff in, adding stuff in, being really kind of loose with the color right now, and I'll go back in and tighten it up later. Now again, on this one, what I'm gonna do as well is I'm not gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave a little bit of a white line along this edge of this tire right here. That's gonna help to define some areas. It'll help that tire to stand out. So you'll see it like that. Okay. There we go. Now this thing has a pretty cool looking running board on it. I'm gonna hit some areas in there. I'm gonna leave that kind of open for. Okay, this thing's gonna go down like this. It's gonna come around like that. The back of the car is a little shiny as well. Front of the car, there's a door handle here, so basically I'm just kind of inking in roughly to get some key elements on this car done before I start really hitting it in. So it's kind of sloppy right now, and that's okay because I know what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to go back in and touch it up as well. So that's basically that side of the car. The front of the car as well, I'm going to hit some key areas in here like that. Down here, this needs to be darker. This is going to fade in like this. This guy comes underneath like that. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. My hand's out in the way, but pulling that in there like that. Now this is going to have a really strong highlight spot right along this lip. I kind of know that I'm going to put one there, but I'm not actually going to completely fill it in yet. Basically, I can always go back with my white pen and hit it hard, and it'll be fine. Now in here, we've got two, looks like intake areas as well. I hit those in later. Some of you guys are going, man, that looks terrible. But you know, for the most part, every time when I lay stuff out, my first run is always going to be kind of dark and or just kind of sloppy. That's just how I do my style, and then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to detail it in later. So again, I'm not afraid to lay down my colors. Also remembering where the light source is going to be as well, because that's going to play a crucial role when I come back and hit it with my white pen. Now this car is pretty cool because it's got these pop outs. Actually, one of the guys in Auto Aesthetics, I can't remember who it was, but you asked me to do a car with eyelids or lights that actually popped up, and so this is the perfect example. And so my client just approached me the other day and said, "Hey, can you draw my boyfriend's car?" And so that's what I'm doing. So she's from Canada. Get this car all done up and everything. So now I've kind of got roughly the shape of this thing colored in. Some highlight areas, some things like that that I can go fine tune as well. Let me finish up with my hood area. Okay, this thing's got little fins that go on top of it like this. It's pretty sweet. Top of that. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'm going to go and start hitting up some more areas with my 114. Some areas that are dark, black in the lights, just so I know where that's going. Okay. Again, any type of lights that I'm going to put on here, I'm going to have it. I will add. Let's see. I'll add a little bit of the blue that I normally add for my chrome inside the lights, just to give it a little bit of a kind of reflective surface. I mean, then again, I'm going real sloppy, not going really hard on that as well. Going kind of sloppy. Looks like my lights. I'm gonna go darker on here. I know that these guys are going to be happening here. Sorry guys, I'm not looking at my phone, so I can't see if you guys are asking me questions. I can't answer questions right now because I can't see my phone. So hopefully that's okay. Okay. So I'm also going to use 109. Anytime I'm going to be doing shadows in areas, I'm going to be using that color to touch up, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second here. Okay. So now that I've got that, now I can start darkening things up in here because I've kind of got my first layer in. I kind of know how things are going to go. I can start basically blending it in, fading it in, blending it down, things like that. There we go. Adding this color. Now I don't want to lose what I got going on here with my contour of these shapes, especially here. Now I'm not using colored pencils at all in this drawing, so it's going to get a little tricky, but that's okay. At least I'm not planning to. Normally I don't. It's either you go for with a pen or you know. Okay, I'm going to hit all my dark dark areas here with this thing. Now these pens, as I said before, they go on darker and they lighten up. So when things start looking pretty dark and heavy, that's okay. All right, guys, what do you think so far? Okay. Keep that as my basic shapes. Kind of see what's going on in here. All right. Now, basically, I'm going to start adding what's going on inside it in the interior as well. Without losing my mind here. Okay. The seats inside this car are going to be darker gray. So again, I'm going to use my 114 to come inside here to hit these seats. Again, this will start pulling this car together as I start going forward. He does have a mirror as well, so let me hit that thing as well. Okay, his seats are here. Now this is going to be interesting. See, you see where the seat hits the mirror here. And you notice it's very, very similar, if not the same color. To make that thing stand out, you're going to want to put a white outline around it. But again, I'm going to do that later after I layer this. Let me finish putting in my roll bar for this car. And then we'll get that all taken care of here. So this roll bar looks like pops down from here like that. This one pops down like that. And then I'll make it come in like this. Okay, and then he has a back piece that just comes down like this on that roll bar. There we go. Something like that. Now what I'm going to do also is I'm going to take this pen, my 141, and with my 141 I'm going to hit my windshield to kind of give it a little bit of dimension as well. You can kind of see what's going on. I'm going just throwing in some strokes, some light strokes in there as well, kind of showing where reflective surfaces are at, things like that, and it'll help that gray to actually push back there as well and give it a little bit of dimension on that. Again, I can go over and hit my lights. There's a window that's actually right in here. Okay. Lights are in here. That. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do with these guys are going to be kind of fun. I'm actually going to go darker on here. Now that I know where they go, I'm going to put them in dark like this. Even though they're not that dark, I'm going to go back with my white pen and really kind of make those areas stand out. Okay, it's got this this dark area in here. I don't know if he cut into his bumper or something like that, but anyway, to make that thing pop out. Now his radiator, I've got it inside here, and so kind of as soon as I figure out where my shape is inside of here, I can start lightening things up, put it in there, but I'm not quite sure yet how I want to run this. But again, you can use 109 or I use 114 for a shadow inside here to kind of get an idea of where I'm going to run this around. This guy will probably drop down like this because it is an oval. So what I'll do is I'll basically just throw a really easy, rough line in here. Then I know that that's going to come in like that, and so he's got a radiator tucked back in here like this, and so I'm basically gonna fake it is what I'm gonna do. box. I could run a 114. Actually, that's what I'll run a 109. Run a 109 inside of here. I'll add some shadow on there as well, and then I'll add a grill in there, and that'll actually really pull everything together. So far this is where we've got with this drawing here. Okay. Now let me start seeing if I can pull some of these pieces together. Here we go. Here like that. Got a chrome. Looks like it's chrome in here. Looks like he's got a rivet hole here, and a rivet hole here, and a rivet hole up top there. There. This is when you start using the inside of your tip of your marker here to kind of give it a little bit of edge, or to add a little bit of a uniqueness in there. So I'm going to tighten up some of my lines with this thin marker, so it really begins to, you know, look better. This is when you start adding your detail in here as well. Oh, I forgot to do this. Normally what I do, typically, guys, is most of you guys who know how I draw, I take a black Sharpie marker, and I like to begin to trace the outline of this car so I can kind of define it and kind of make it more cartoon style as well. And I want to take these shapes here, and I really want to kind of accent them. You know, pulling them in tight, pushing them out like that. That's going to go down. And this car is actually going to be pretty fast to do because there's so many cool features on it. But it's not a whole lot of detail that I'm really worried about. So I've got that in there. I'm going to pull this guy here like this. Okay. Roughly, that's kind of giving me my idea so far. Again, I'm going to find a color that I want to use for my ground. I may use this 107. I'm basically going to stroke the ground here like this to kind of give it a little bit of shadow as well underneath this car. Pulling it down like this. I have a tendency to drag it from the middle out to kind of give some depth as well. And that pin's running out, so that's okay. Dropping pins here, right and left. All right. So my markers up here, pens that I'm using, things that I'm working with. Now I'm going to start kind of fine-tuning, developing this thing. I know that in this drawing, I've got some black. Got some black details within this car that I really want to capitalize on. Some highlights. Let's see here. Let's do this. Let's start really pinning this thing out. So my light source, it's kind of bouncing all over the place on this car, but I do have some light sources that kind of rip through here and kind of add some cool effects. There we go. So this is a rounded light here. This comes in like this. This is going to go to here. Post like that. There we go. Something up in here I can add some things in here. And with doing highlights and shadows, sometimes you can actually see them. Sometimes you just have to guess. On this car, especially because when you start, what I like to do is when I do a cartoon, I take a lot of freedom in it. I don't always draw what I see. I kind of draw what I know. I draw what is there. But then again, if I'm changing my angle on the car a little bit, there's going to be some things that are going to be different. And so I just have to compensate for that, and that's okay. I think the goal is you want to really capture the image of the vehicle, and sometimes you're going to capture that image with certain key features. Just like if you're going to do a caricature, or it's kind of like what this is. This is basically a caricature of this guy's car. So there's certain key things that stand out in it that he's going to see and go, oh yeah, I know that. You know, I've got these things, and it's going to make his car what it is. And that's really, you're going to sell that with your client, and your client, you know, that's when they just fall in love with that stuff. So again, I'm at this spot right now. So now what I want to do, I've kind of got my basic color down, roughly. Now what I want to do is I'm going to start adding in some darker grays in some areas where there's some shadows to kind of give it a little bit of a pop, to make it stand out more. So I've got a red that I'm going to add in here, and this red will be a little bit different in color, but it's going to make some of that stuff just stand out a little bit more. And I'm not going to go, I'm just going to kind of add areas where I want it to be stronger. I'm just going to see how this thing looks. There we go. Then everything like that. And I could even probably add some, brush it over the edge like this, giving a little bit of feathering it like that over the top of these lines. Even though it is white underneath there, I've got a little bit of feather in there, which kind of adds a little bit of blend, because I'm not using colored pencils. So it's going to kind of add a little bit of, I don't know, blend in that, I guess you could say. Again, I could also take probably a 109, I'm assuming, or a 110. Let's try 109. Let me try to darken up some areas in here and see what this does, if this adds it, because this might not really give what I'm looking for. I may have to go to a different red. Yeah, I may have to go to a different red. 109. 114. So I'm going some cool grays and some light grays. I may just have to go to a darker one. Anyway, okay, so I'll tackle that later. Right now, let me take care of these rims and what's going on inside here. So in these rims, let's see here. Okay, these guys basically cut in like this. Now this is important when you're doing these rims. You're basically looking at shapes inside there. So as you get those shapes down, that's really going to define what's going on inside there. So if you think about it, that's kind of all the thing I'm doing. I'm nailing down these shapes first, and then I'll go in and add detail. So if you look at that, you can kind of obviously tell it's recessed. It goes back there, but then that's pretty much all I've done to nail down that rim or that shape in there. I've got some bolt patterns and whatnot in there. So now I'm starting to, and that was with 114. Now I'm ready to start adding some detail in there as well. 102. So I've got this. Now that that's rounded like that. Reflections. Kind of keeping that in there simple like that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take this. I've got my basic shape in here. Now I'm going to start going in there and hitting it with, going in there and touching it up with a pen. So since I'm on this rim area, let me go ahead and start defining that, what's going on inside there. Again, sometimes you're basically drawing what you know, not always what you see. As well. Again, I can always go back there and touch up areas as well. Now I'm not going straight to here because I'm going to have a white outline that's going to come around here, but this is going to at least give me enough stuff to get right with that. Okay, same thing over here. That come down from here. And when you start adding in these black lines, these basically are kind of, I don't know, they're basically going to show you where things are really going to hit. They really kind of define things in a lot better way. They really add detail. Like if you know when a girl mascaras her eye or does that, it just makes it pop out. So when you add this black, that's what you're doing. You're basically making these shapes in here come alive and come recede, pop forward, and so the shapes that are in front of it are going to be more defined and more predominant as well. So that's kind of roughly what's going on here. How's my time? I'm about 41 minutes into this thing. A little bit longer than I expected, but well, actually, it's not that bad. It's giving it. So now that we're moving forward and I'm on this process, when I start getting to this process, things start speeding up for me because I realize that I'm kind of almost done. Okay. Again, I'm going to add 116 on here to kind of shade this thing in a little bit. This is where my shadow line was going, so basically pulling this thing down like that. Okay. Alright. We're doing good. Okay. Here we go. Let's start inking this puppy. Okay. Okay. Just going up like this. On this thing, I'm actually going to use this Sharpie because it looks like there's a rubber molding that comes in here, so it's just easier to use a thinner or a thicker Sharpie to get my line than actually trying to go over and do it with this thing. There we go. Okay, so now I know that goes like that. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to basically work from my work from the back out. So this guy needs to be inside this car. This thing has like a lip on it, like this. Now on this car, where it goes inside here, I'm not gonna ink that in because that I want it to recede. So if I put a black line on it, it would really stand out, and that's not what I'm trying to get at here. So I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that black like that. Darken that in so this will recede. Anytime you darken something in like that, it's gonna make this element in the front pop forward. So that's what I'm doing there. Okay, so basically done there. Moving on down to the lights. Now I know with this, my front piece, it's two pieces. This piece comes across like this. It touches down. Okay, it also has another piece up top that comes across like this. Okay, so I'm keeping this idea. Now I'm going to start inking my lights in to get my basic shapes. Like that. These lights actually kind of pop out like that on top. Again, I'm just being a little sloppy here, but that's okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna put a little note here to help me remember that there's a hook here on both of these sides, where these and I'll go back in and hit that with a white pen, just so that I know that that's there. Okay, let me add this. Let me add in these guys, these blinkers. That's roughly like that. I will add in this line here. This line's pretty crucial. Goes all the way around here. Touches up to here. Okay. And with that comes this one underneath. Now, since I have that one basically established, I can go in there and basically ink it in. And so some of these lines I'm going to hit in with a darker black now, just to make them stand out and recede a little farther. Okay, again like that. I'm not going to hit this one yet because I still want to touch it up a little bit. go. Roughly like that. Let's start adding some elements of what's going on here. His, he's got some clips or something like that that's connecting to there. Got a piece that comes out like this, and then I'll go in and darken that up as well. Again, there we go. Now when I'm adding my shadows, I'm going to use a 114. My 114 is basically going to give me a reflection of what's going on. So on this one, I'm going to basically take my mirror and I'm going to reflect it down like this. I'm not going to be afraid to kind of mess up because it's going to add some little bit of dimension in there as well. Same thing down here. There's some pretty hard reflections as well, and so I'm going to kind of use that to kind of pull those guys in like that. This is a hard reflection here. So I'm using 114 on that to pull in those colors. You start adding these darker ones, they kind of really do some cool stuff. Kind of make it where you can start defining what's going on. As well. And again, I'm just kind of faking it and guessing where some of this stuff goes because on my picture I can't really see it super clear, but it gives me enough to kind of guess. I'm going to kind of throw a shadow over that, a shadow there. Anywhere where I'm going to have a dark line or a dot, I'm going to add that as well. On this as well, like that. See, this goes down to that dot right there. Now the dot's here, I'm going to darken up as well, just to kind of show what's going on there. Okay. Add a little outline here. Outline there. Let's see here. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this color down like this because what I want to do is I want everything below here to be darker, so that way it looks like it's below what's going on here. And what I'll do is when it's darker like that, then you can go and you can add a highlight to it and it'll really stand out. But for this right now, that's what I'm going to do. You can see that okay. I can see that all right. Okay. Go. So now with this fin, the way that he has this thing set up, I need to make sure I get this right. So he has, looks like it comes up like this for his grill. And I'm using the smaller one here. Kind of to give a basic idea. I could go back here and touch this one up too with a color, which I might end up doing like that. There we go. Just to kind of add a little bit of dimension. I can add some highlights on that as well to make that thing pop out. That's okay. Let me hit this thing real fast. I didn't really exaggerate that fin like I wanted to, but I think it's going to work okay for this drawing. Okay, now I can start going in here, hitting in these things, adding some elements, some shapes as well. So where these guys are, they're going to go out like this. Going to kind of add these little extra things to give them some dimension on the side. This guy's a kind of an oval shape. Just divide it like that. Okay. Oh, 54 minutes into it. All right, let's see. All right, there we go. All right, so that's basically, so far, what we got that we're going to keep with. Like that. Alright, now I'm going to basically come in here with my white pen, clean everything up, and call it a day. Okay, now this is where you can start having fun with your chrome in this area. Now on this pen, what I want to do is I want to outline where this white line is here to kind of make it stand out from the rest of the red car. Same thing where it comes up in here. I want to come out there so those wheels are going to begin to pop like that. You can also add highlights within my rims as well. Same thing here. And now really make those guys pop like that. Normally when you're going to get reflections, you're going to get them at the bottoms of your wheels. So with that, I'm going to throw a couple starbursts, little sun glares off of here, as well off of my rims. Like that. Now I'm going to take my rims in here, or my tires, I'm going to trace them here. To give some depth. So basically tires, I just stagger them like that. It's there. Okay, I'm going to basically outline this. Remember, I'm outlining this so that this pops out from that tire. I want it to stand out here. Same thing with here. I want that to really pop out from there. Yeah, my little highlights on. Start adding highlights to things. Oh, I forgot to add a gray here. There we go. Down there. My roll bar is going to get some highlights as well. Anytime you draw a bar, it's always good to have a an highlight in there because you can kind of see where things are taking place. You want to do a, what do you call it? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, it's getting late. You want to show a dark side and a light side to your bar. That's what I meant to say. I don't really like that, so I'm going to go back and redo that again. But again, you know, you're basically kind of finding your pattern of your car and your shapes. Here, and pop that out from there. It's kind of nice having those thick pins and those thick and thin pins. So again, with this pin, if I don't like it, I'll just go over it. Especially with the white. White's pretty easy to cover up. If it's too obnoxious, too hard, I can always fix that. Not a big deal. Okay, these, let's see here. So these wheels, I'm going to basically track this. this and kind of mimic what's going on here. Again, anytime I have a black line in here, I'm going to throw an outline on here just to kind of show where this is in relation to what's going on around it. Just adding some little details in here as well. With the white, I don't go super crazy on it, but enough to kind of give it some idea of what's going on here. Again, if I feel like there's an area in here that I really want to darken up, that I really want to make sure that tire stands out, I'll go over it. I feel like this needs to be done. I know that that's a thick rim on there, but I want to lose my tire here. Okay, I think I've got about that done. Add some chrome in here. Add some chrome in here. What's going on with this light? Almost done, guys. About an hour into it, so Okay, what do these seats say? Bride. We have my steering wheel in here, and I think we're about done. All right, a couple accent spots for highlights. There we go. A couple more spots down here. Again, I'm just going real loose right here, but this is enough to kind of show you what's going on. All right, and there we go. We just add a couple more things down here on the ground, and then I can probably call it and be done. Kind of take it, sharpie it like this, show some motion. Okay, then I'll kick in my signature here. All right, guys, and I'll go over it finally with an eraser just to kind of tag in everything in, kind of make it look a little presentable. This might be kind of fun too. I can put little highlight stars on here as well as on here. Those over here, this should probably have a highlight up here like this as well. Oh, and since this is, it's weird, there's always something left. It seems like I think I'm done, and then I find something else that I feel like I need to touch base on, kind of make it work. There we go. There we go. I think that's pretty good for the most part. Again, now one of the things that I think I did here that I'm not quite happy with is it looks like this thing isn't straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with a darker pen here to move this line and make it darker. If I needed to do that, I could actually go over it with a black pen so that this line is more perpendicular. to that. So where it comes down, it looks a little bit more. There we go. Now I'll just follow this up with this white pen line on top of here, going along the edge. And that basically makes it a little more realistic. There we go. Cool. All right, that'll work, guys. Okay, so there we have it. Mazda Miata, race edition, stanced out, stance style, Micahdoodle style. Hopefully that helps. You guys have any questions, you can check me out at micahdoodles.com or follow me on Twitter.